Good morning. It is Saturday the 11th of April. It's just gone 6:20. So I'm up fairly early as I do want to get ahead of client check-ins this morning because later on I will be heading to the blood clinic in Glasgow to get some lab work done for today. So the last time I got these done was probably, I think it was about December time, so I usually go about every 6 months. But because I'm away to start prep fairly soon, I just want to get a full picture of where my body's at just now, having made some changes off the back of last blood work. So yeah, just to see kind of where I'm at now. So even as like a natural athlete, the first thing people kind of say to me is, why'd you get those done? But it is something that actually really does matter a lot. And it's not just about how you look in these kinds of things, but also about what's going on internally as well. So yeah, this one today should also just give me a baseline before things really get a lot more stressful on my body. So yeah, it'll just be that nice little sort of starting point for that. So I'm just gonna get myself ready now, tame this as much as I can. But first I'll take my morning supplements. So I've got my little pot of supplements here. Wash that down with this. Morning, pretty simple. So I've got omega-3s, I've got multivitamins, I've got my D3K2, magnesium. This one here is the glutamine. Morning mostly about kind of supporting general health, recovery, overall function. On top of that, based on the previous blood work, I have had a few more sort of targeted supplements put in. So each morning I'll also take Firsten Med. I've also got Myo, Inositol, Oxbio, and then today I do actually have some iodine salt. I only take that every other day. So again, nothing too extreme, just things to support liver function, digestion, hormonal health. Based on what I needed, I'll just get myself ready, take these, and yeah, crack on with some client check-ins. I hate when this never mixes properly. Just get like a lump of salt at the bottom. Yum. The most I'll probably do is, yeah, as you can see, my brows and just covering up my bags that I've got on my eyes. So yeah, nothing too fancy. I'm not the most girly, but one thing I will make sure I do, which if I can find it, one of my clients that does these beautiful nails here, so I will make sure every morning I get my cuticle oil, which I do need to watch out for that it doesn't contain any nut oils because I am allergic to nuts. So yeah, I found this really nice one. I think that one is apricot, which is very nice. So yeah, I'll pop those on the nails. That is something I do always remember to do. So she will be very happy with me. But like I say, that's probably about as far as my beauty regime goes. I should probably do a little bit more for my skin. Done. Yeah. Oh, here. Today, I think I'm gonna go bun just because I'm out and about a little bit more. So the bun just doesn't get in the way as much. So yeah, for me, hairstyles are kind of more practicality than style, as you can probably tell. Imagine I walked around like this. Oh, we will tame this a little bit. Just a little bit of a styling gel. We are done. So I'll go downstairs now, and I can do these bloods unfasted. So I can have a small meal, I'll go and have that, and then get on some client check-ins. Some client check-ins, but I realised I forgot to tell you one of my supplements I have in the morning. So this is Rise and Shine by Pit Stop. They are fantastic, by the way. They also have my Lumi Light, which is why I look so bright. So whilst it is still a little bit dark outside just now, I will pop that light on, and yeah, that does its job there. But yeah, Rise and Shine, so that is a nootropic, so basically just enhances cognitive function in the morning, improves a bit of focus, so I do like to get that in. It's got a little bit of caffeine. Yeah, that just kind of gets me going in the morning, helps me kind of focus in a little bit, along with my lovely morning coffee. So I thought I would just run you through first meal of the day. You'll have seen this kind of get made before, but it is my 5 rice cakes. We have dark chocolate, banana and dates on top of those. Yeah, I will get all that done. Check-ins today, I have 8 check-ins this morning. A mix between sort of normal clients, and I do have my photo shoot clients that I will check in today, who are now 8 weeks in, so it's very, very exciting. So yeah, I will catch up with all them, and then hopefully be on the road, aiming for about 8:30. So I've got about 2 hours of work that I can be getting on with. So yeah, I'll get this in and then I'll get going. I am now just on the way to Glasgow, and it's actually turned out to be a really lovely day. The sun's shining. Where I was, it was very rainy, and usually when you head to Glasgow or any kind of west coast, it tends to be a little bit worse, but it's actually very nice here, so hopefully that will stay, and yeah, I'll enjoy that a little later on. But yeah, I thought whilst I'm just in the car, I would explain a little bit why lab work actually matters, even if you're a natural athlete. Now, it's something a lot of people will skip or kind of overlook a little bit, but it's actually one of the most important tools or bits of information that you can get about your body, not just as bodybuilders but for lifestyle clients too. The more information you have about your body, it can actually give a lot of insight into potentially why you might not be seeing as much progress as you'd maybe expect. You know, things like hormones, like thyroid, everything like that, it can play a huge role, especially when, you know, going through phases such as diets. It does put your body under a lot of stress. You know, people don't really see training, dieting as a stress on the body, but it actually is. So especially when you're pushing more food, more training, you don't want to be pushing things so far that you end up, you know, running into problems that could potentially just start setting you back a little bit. So just keeping regular track of blood work, you know, any lab work, digestive health, can really help things move productively rather than, you know, coming to a standstill if you come into problems. So I am not too far away now, so I will likely catch up with you when I'm there. Hopefully I'll be able to take the camera in and give you a little insight into what happens when I'm there. So yeah, I will get back to driving and catch up with you guys once I'm there. Fuel prices at the moment. I haven't used a button that I've never really even touched, so yeah, we're having to go full granny mode at the moment. So yeah, I don't know if on a long journey if that even really makes a difference, but needs must. If anything helps, I will do it. I get lost every time I come down here. It's like every little alleyway looks exactly the same, but there we are.
Which arm am I going for? Go this one or go that one?
Yeah.
For you. Next, you good to go? And you got your lollipop to go. There you go. You can hold that, but you're not starting to yet.
This is my chance. Thanks very much. The push-up coffee has arrived. So I'm just sitting down to my pre-workout meal now.
my usual kind of oats, dark chocolate and whey. Coffee alongside that. I don't tend to use a sort of pre-workout supplement at the moment. If anything, I'll usually go a non-stim. I just find I get a little bit too kind of jittery on that, so coffee does me just as well.
So I survived it, no fatalities, which is good. I should get the results pretty swiftly. Because today is a Saturday, they will take a little bit longer, but I think Gemma said it would only take till Monday, so even then it's a pretty quick turnaround, because I think she's actually moved now to Youth Revisited, so they're a lot quicker on the turnaround there. So yeah, not too long to wait at all, and that's why I do take the time and the effort to travel through to Gemma, because the level of service is so good. Like the drawing of blood, very swift, very quick, and yeah, she'll send it off right away. The results are super quick, and the level of detail in the analysis is just so good as well. There's nothing worse than, you know, if you're getting testing done and the results are so like medical jargon, and yeah, you just can't understand it at all. So they'll actually break it down like page by page, test by test as well. So yeah, from hormones to liver function, kidney, everything like that, it will be explained in a lot of detail. So it's probably about like 50 pages you get back. You do get like a little summary sheet as well, but yeah, all just really simply like describes everything, tells you what's what the normal ranges are, where yours are, and it will kind of highlight at the end the main things you might need to focus on. So it makes it really easy if you then want to, I don't know, go to your GP with it, or you know, a specialist or something like that. It does break it down in a lot of detail. So yeah, that will give me a nice insight into, you know, potentially the plan of action going forward, and just to see whether the changes we made off of the back of the last blood work, whether those have, you know, seen positive changes and, you know, brought things back to sort of normal a little bit. So yeah, but no, I am now away to go and train. First day I can now train, so I'm very excited because it will be a leg day. So what a way to start the training week again. So I've just had my pre-workout. It was very noisy in the cafe. I think like a class had just finished at the local gym, so yeah, it was a little bit noisy, so I thought I'd just come back in here and do the filming for this. So yeah, pre-workout's in. I will go now. It's about a 20-minute drive to the gym, so that'll settle nicely, and then I'll get in there. Very excited for today's leg day, and yeah, then I will probably catch up with you when I'm back at home, explain a little bit more about some of the other things I do other than supplementation to help improve some of the health markers. So yeah, I'll get trained, get back home, and I'll see you once I am back.
Hello, Lottie. How are you, mate? Thank you so much for your patience. This is the best your lab report's been, mate, and I'm really fucking proud of that. It tells us that decision making beforehand was fantastic. And this is probably the most physiologically aligned I think you've been over the past couple of years, which is fantastic. Fantastic to see.
So it's now a couple of days since you last saw me on Saturday getting my blood work done. And yeah, I've now had the results back. I've just sat and watched the feedback from my coach. So he's gone over, you know, comparisons compared to last time, seeing where we are now, and yeah, just giving me a little kind of breakdown of how things are now. So just to summarise, overall everything is still in a really good place. You know, health markers like cholesterol, blood sugar, iron levels, all solid as they were kind of before, which is exactly what we want, especially going into a prep phase from, you know, having been in an off season. We've not seen any negative impacts on health or anything like that. Actually, probably my health at the moment is the best it's ever been since, you know, coming away from cycling, football, everything like that. So one of the main things we were keeping an eye on from the last time was my liver health. The liver enzymes were slightly elevated back in December, so since then we've focused on mainly supporting that. We increased cruciferous vegetables, so they are actually very good for helping do almost like a little bit of a liver detox, you know, improving overall food quality as well, you know, adding in targeted support for the liver health as well, like the first in med that I mentioned before.
and I can now see that things are really moving in the right direction. It's not about, doing the most extreme things, but firstly about using nutrition as much as we can, and then only layering supplements in where they actually might add value on top of that. So my nutrition is very much built around supporting overall health, optimizing that as much as possible, and then using supplements on top of that if we really need to. So I'll use things like, we've got salmon for omega-3, we have red meat in pretty much every day to support iron levels, things like that. So it's about using as much of your nutrition as you can, rather than having to lean into all the supplements, because that just can get very, very expensive. It can get very tedious having to take pills all the time. So yeah, leaning into nutrition as much as you can is a very, very good tool to use. That is always my approach when supporting health as much as possible, is building the foundations first through food rather than jumping straight into a load of supplements. For clients, it's a lot simpler to just use nutrition and go to that. It's like a 2-in-1. First off, they'll be reaching their goals, but as well they'll be getting that extra benefit of optimizing health. So yeah, it's a kind of no-brainer really when it comes to that. In terms of my hormonal health at the moment, this is also something that we are very, very aware of. For a little bit of context, I come from a very lean background through being an athlete from quite a young age. I didn't get lean through bodybuilding. This is my first ever season in bodybuilding. If anything, bodybuilding has actually optimized my health, and I'm actually in the healthiest position I've ever been. From having been a competitive athlete, I did spend a long time sitting at a relatively low body fat level. I was probably about 12.4% according to my scales. So that is very, very, very low for a female. So even now in my off season, I'm not pushing a relatively high body fat. I think I'm sitting around about the 17.5, 18%. So in terms of health, I'm still in that kind of lean stage, although hormones are relatively stable at the moment, which is a very, very good sign. It just still suggests my body's not quite in that stress-free, super happy environment where it's seen the return of my cycle. So the hormones, yes, are there. It's just not triggering that cycle at the moment. So it's something that I definitely have at the forefront of my mind now when it comes to decision making. This is where individualization really, really matters. Everything I'm doing right now, my food, my supplements, what I do day to day, how we're structuring things, is based purely on my blood work, my history, and what my body actually needs. And that goes to say, because I'm taking these certain things, do not take that as I should be taking those because Lottie's doing that and she's doing really well. It is very, very individual. So that is why I always encourage clients or just anyone to get that blood work done. See it as a body MOT. You put your car through an MOT to see what you need to fix or what's not quite running well. So do the same with your kind of internal engine in a way. To summarise, health in a very, very good place. All extremely, extremely useful data to now set a kind of plan of action for what is coming up next. So yeah, you'll then see in the next vlog potentially where we're at. I do hope this has given you a good bit of insight into supplements, health in general, and using that to your benefit. So yeah, please do like, share, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next vlog where you can see just what might have evolved from today. But yeah, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.